Tanse, Sego, Scano, bonsoir, good evening. I am Roberta Jamieson, a Mohawk from the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory. It is wonderful to be back in Treaty 6 territory. Well, I have 7 minutes, and I will share with you 7 thoughts about indigenizing the city. Message 1, create a 2-row wampum city. In the Mohawk language, we call ourselves Ongwehonwe. That means real people, real human beings. And it's more than just a name, it's an obligation. So thinking about that, I wonder, can we, all of us acting as real people, acting in the spirit of what my people know as the 2-row wampum. This is the very first agreement struck on Turtle Island, symbolizing the relationship between First Nations and the newcomers. Can we create a city which is like the river, symbolized in this wampum, in which each of us in our own vessel travel together, helping each other, each of us maintaining our own identities, each of us working together to make the city a place for all of its peoples. Message 2, let's make the city a home for human beings. Forget for a moment the city's material manifestations, its pavement, its buildings. Concentrate on the spirit of this place and its beings. Put your attention to humanizing its people and place. Can we make the city a network of neighborhoods, 1,000 villages, encourage the building of 1,000 council fires so that all the city's people can be heard and involved in creating a shared future? Can we build a city of extended families so that we are able to look after each other? Make the city a place where we can feel a part of its lands, its creatures, its spirit, a place where we want to spend our lives. Message 3, Indigenous values offer cities a very important vision, a vision of an interconnected world. Indigenizing the city means realizing our vital connections to the countryside, recognizing our peoples depend on it. Let us build cities that recognize and thank the lands which are the sources of our water, our energy, our food, the place where the forests cleanse the air we breathe, and the place we go to renew our spirits. Can we build a permanent, caring relationship between our city and the lands and waters which give your city life? Message 4, open space in the cities so that Indigenous people can thrive as Indigenous peoples. You know, in the early post-Confederation days, until not too long ago, Indians had to be outside the city limits before sundown. That is the truth. Later, cities began to allow Indigenous people to live inside their limits. But the end game was to assimilate us. There was even a wonderful national policy called Migrating Peoples. But we do not come to the city to assimilate. In fact, a recent Environics study shows that Indigenous people in the city are more conscious of our cultural needs, more desirous of strengthening our cultural identity. And I know from experience, both personal and Inspire's work with Indigenous students across Canada, that when our youth are validated and secure in their identity, when society creates space for us to live as Indigenous people, we flourish. As Indigenous peoples, we make our powerful contributions every day to the cities through arts, architecture, healing, Indigenous science, restorative justice, how to live in the natural world. Make space for us in the city, and the city and Canada will be the richer for it. Message 5. Educate our children, the city's children, to be human beings before anything else. Educate them by our example. To be comfortable, surrounded by great and wondrous diversity. Educate each other about the original dream of a Canada where very different peoples would share with each other, would learn from each other, maintain their own cultures, and live in harmony with each other. This begins by educating our children about the true history of this country. John Ralston Saul and other writers are urging Canadians to rediscover our Indigenous roots. Well, let's start with the fact that many of our cities take their names from Indigenous languages. Ottawa, Toronto, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Niagara Falls, Shawinigan, Athabasca, Kamloops. This is not a coincidence. Our history as Canadians is one which begins with Indigenous peoples. And Indigenous peoples are still here. We're not going away, and we are still ready and eager to share our gifts with everyone. Message 6. Build relationships. Bring together all sectors. It's going to take all of us. Public, private, philanthropic, all of us. There's a role for everyone to make a better city. Repair broken relationships, and we have them. Polish away the tarnish on existing relationships. The real city, the human city, is built of relationships, not concrete and steel. Let us build loving, caring relationships with the natural world. Build relationships with those who are older than you. Build relationships with youth, with children. Build genuine, cherished working relationships with Indigenous peoples. Embrace the promise of Canada's two-row wampum. The seventh message is that all of these messages come in a bundle. As with all things organic, if anyone is missing, it just won't work. Like plants needing water, air, sunshine, warmth, nutrients, give them only some of these elements and they won't grow. Well, there you have it, 7 messages. Let's embrace and practice all 7 of the messages to create indigenized cities at last that will enable us to realize the promise of Canada. 7 messages designed to take us together to your 7th generation and my 7th generation, our great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren, those children of the future who will refer to us as their ancestors. Let us hope they will thank and revere us for what we have done in our time to create a future for them in the cities. Those are my messages to you tonight. I say Nyawagoa. Thank you for listening to my words.